Well, my role was as a second lieutenant to the boss, who was Bob Meyer, who was who had prior to that had been running My Two Dads in its third and final season. He was the boss on My Two Dads, and we had developed a great working relationship. And he was very patient with me, very patient with me. I was a very high maintenance writer, and which is the nicest way to describe a pain in the ass. And it was really interesting. And there was this great opportunity to go onto a great big hit show, quality show. It was really good. And Danny Jacobson and Matt Williams had created a beautiful family comedy. And they weren't going to hire any writers till they hired an executive producer. So I got my agent at the time to lobby hard for them to hire Bob, because I was convinced Bob's first hire would be me. So I was doing a little agenting, trying to get the executive. They had a non-writing executive producer, Jay Daniels, who was trying to create a brand new writing staff from scratch. And I met with him, and I actually gave him the Golden Girls script to read, because nobody wanted to read My Two Dads at the time. It was not in favor. It was just not the kind of show people would read, and you couldn't get an honest read from somebody with one of those scripts. And maybe unfairly, but that was the case. So I gave him the Golden Girls, and he liked it, but he said, I can't hire you until we hire an executive producer who will then make his own calls. So I'm saying, you got to hire Bob Meyer. Really, Bob Meyer's your guy. You want Bob Meyer. And Bob Meyer was the right call, because, he had a real high bar for quality, and he was a perfectionist, but he was also had the temperament to work with Roseanne. And it's a very volatile environment. When we started working, we were there for a few weeks, and she sang the national anthem in San Diego. So there were helicopters flying overhead a few weeks after we started. The President of the United States was attacking the star of the show. I mean, it was crazy from day one. You were told the rules as you went along, Again, my first script almost got me fired. She hated it. She just hated it. And I have no real memory as to what the script was particularly, but she had a pretty good instinct for glibness. She wanted to write an honest comedy, about what real families say and do, how they treat each other. And the glibness got burned out of you really quickly, or you were gone. And it was quite an education. And again, it was 70-hour weeks. We worked 17-hour days, 6 days a week for a couple of years. It was crazy. It was crazy. You go home and the sun's coming up. It was nuts. This, on the other hand, was, and then it was, and the show kind of tanked for about 8-9 months after the anthem, and then it started to come back up, and then after it came back up, it would routinely get 40 million viewers. I mean, that's unheard of today, but, there was only 4 networks at the time. Fox was still a baby network. So it was pretty exciting to be on a show that had that kind of reach. It was miserable, but it was a great place to learn how to, get real. It informed Grace Under Fire, dramatically, because, okay, I'm going to write about a single mom and a woman who's been through a terrible divorce and spousal abuse and raising children without a safety net. It was so much informed by what I learned on Roseanne, to try and keep things real, to have the comedy come from real events as opposed to contrived events. There were no female wrestlers on Roseanne and Grace Under Fire. It was, your kid's screwing up in school. What are you going to do about it while you're working 2 jobs to keep your family alive? So the stories were more grounded, and that was a result of Roseanne's, demand to put on a show that was unlike anything that had come before, and it was, I mean, she broke some ground.